Let's hope. But live. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Floodcast. Floodcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. Floodcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because I'm wearing the wrong hat. It's still Pride Month. So I'm still going to go ahead and wear the rainbow hat because my kid has allowed me to. He's such a great kid. Part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. Shujin. Hi, good to be back with you. Let me go ahead and introduce you to the entire crew that's here tonight, which should go really quickly at the moment. From the Midwest to the U.S., Brigid Fitch is still conscious and available to talk. Good evening, hon.
Good evening.
Yes. At the moment, it's just us, which is a little concerning because I didn't hear anything from UnrenownedTech. Okay. I didn't hear anything from Joseph. Okay. And I'm really hoping that Dalan maybe shows up because tonight's topic is pretty much his fault, and he knows it. So that's kind of the way that it works. But we're here. Everything's good. And I'm drinking orange juice tonight because I already finished my coffee and I should not have any more coffee at this time of the morning because it's just after midnight here where I am because that's the way that we do things around here. So hi, good to be with you.
Coffee right now would not be good.
No.
Not if you don't. Not unless you don't want to sleep.
Well, I've gotten to sleep, after drinking coffee after a show, 4, 5, whenever the day ball starts breaking over the horizon there's some mornings I really wish to know who it is that's in charge of unregulated nuclear reactors in the sky. Pisses me off to no end. But you know what? Not my department. Well out over my pay grade.
Is that what that big yellow thing is?
I don't know, man. All I know is that it kills people. Slowly and surely it kills people. So everything the sun touches dies eventually. Except for that one son of a bitch that's still alive from the Nixon administration. But, again, what do I know? At least death got Pat Robertson, so there's a bright side to it all.
What, are we still waiting on Kissinger?
Yeah, we're still waiting on Kissinger.
Yeah.
But that's a topic for another day. When he dies, we all
party.
All right, yeah, we'll go with that. So, hi everybody. Thanks for being with us. If you decide that you're awake at some ungodly hour of the morning or night or wherever the heck it is for you, depending as to where you are, because UTC, you feel free to join us on YouTube because, you can join with all those folks over there, over in the live chat. So I wanted to acknowledge, because if you're watching on YouTube, you've seen that the text on the screen has scrolled quite a ways already because we've been chatting before the show. And you could be part of that too. So Stephanie, good morning. Good to see you. Seeker, crawled in through the window apparently somewhere. Somebody didn't lock it enough, so hi. Good. You're fashionably early, so good on you, man. And Fearless, you made it. Hi, hon. Thank you very kindly. I was joking with somebody earlier that my camera is having problems. I'm not sure what's going on. As far as my camera is concerned, there is it's a new one that Tech bought for me. So yeah, I'll follow up on what's being suggested and move my earphones behind my head. He bought me a new one, and it's got some quirks to the way that it behaves or misbehaves, as the case may be. Logitech, man, there's only so much you can really do about it. Because, what can you do with the 500-pound elephant in the room? except eat it one bite at a time. I'm mixing my metaphors again, aren't I? I don't care. And this is going to suck because I don't have enough room for my headphone. You know what? I'll just have the one in my ear and I'll just deal with it the way that it is because that's just the way that it is. Oh, well. So, yeah, we'll see. The earphones? The proper ones in front of you? I'm missing a piece over. So we'll you know what? Figure it out. Just move the microphone and see what the. I don't know that it's going to help. It's not going to help. We'll kind of play it by ear a little bit. See what it is. I don't know about everybody else, but just as a real quick catch up on everybody. Still healthy, still doing fine. Yeah, being outdoors, I have not had to mask up from the smoke from last week. I'm very glad for that. So you guys over there in north of the border with your fire, good job of keeping that contained a bit. And Mother Nature, thank you for helping. Really helped that. For anybody that didn't know about it, up Quebec way, there were some wildfires that were swirling dust and everything down into my neck of the state, which is, all the way to the left of, New York. And it was really nasty. It was really nasty. I mean, we talked about it last week that the inside of the mask, the 95 KN 95 masks that I was wearing, the inside's supposed to be white. Did you remember how I told you how there were like streaks of brown through them?
Yeah.
From that was that they're normally not supposed to look like that, are they?
Aren't you glad you weren't breathing that?
Oh God, man. The idea that so many people were out there and did not protect themselves from all that. The people that I work with who are just like, yeah, I grew up around bonfires a lot. This isn't bothering me. And I'm just thinking,
No.
Okay, not, not my circus, not my monkeys. Okay, it is what it is. Only so much I can deal with. So, is what it is. Well, as far as to what is in front of me, right next to me, yes, my microphone is right here, but it's supposed to be, focusing on the face. So, I don't know what it is. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I will end up getting rid of the fuzzy around me because Discord and see if maybe that'll help later. I don't want to futz with the video now, so we will see. Yeah, Seeker saying autofocus is blurry, can't make up its mind what it wants to focus on. Yeah, that's the biggest problem of it all. It drives me up a wall, and Logitech's control software is the tits. I'm sorry, did I say tits? I meant pants. And for those of you that don't speak British, that's not a compliment. It's just pants. So, is what it is. We'll, I'll work it over again later and see what I can do. In any case. And Stephanie's pointing out, and I don't know that this is one that you specifically know, hon. Fun fact: African women are prone to lung cancer because they cook over open fires in enclosed spaces. Sadly, makes perfect sense to me, even if I don't have the documentation to back it up. But I mean, that makes perfect sense. Sad.
Yeah.
It is what it is, I suppose. I'm learning to use that expression more. I'm trying very hard to do that. It's not easy. I'm trying. So how about we get things rolling over here because I got I got stuff, man. I got the horrible scopes coming up and everything. So let's get you started with the 5-minute freestyle because, like I said, I did homework. I did math. So with 5 minutes on the clock, your freestyle starts right now. blink. Now, there are some folks that know my predilections for all things science fiction and are probably thinking to themselves, well, wasn't that a Doctor Who episode? Yes, it was, but that's not what I'm going by. At least not specifically so. I wanted to talk with you guys in the concept of time. Because we hear about, how we don't have the capacity to truly understand time in grand scopes, because we just don't. Because we don't really think of it in the terms for the much longer pieces. So I'm going to take you through a little bit of a journey, and I want you to think of time a little bit differently. We're going to kind of condense time so that 1 year, one real life year, is the equivalent of 1 second. Now, with that in mind, take you back to the beginning of the Earth's formation. That takes us back 4.5 billion years ago. If you were to condense 1 year into a second, that means that the Earth has been around for, and these are approximate values, 144 years. That's a long time. It's a long time. But this is where it starts to get interesting. The earliest life forms that we've been able to identify would have been emerging 3.7 billion years ago, or 117 years in our condensed format. This has got a very large gap, because the next step that I wanted to go with wasn't to do with the dinosaurs or the planet killer asteroid that came down and wiped out 90% of everything, because, rocks do that in space. I wasn't going to do that because we never think about the age of the dinosaurs in the same way that we should. The fact that Triceratops and T-Rex did not exist anywhere near each other in the timeline. Not at all. So I decided to go back. What is the next step ahead for us, humanity? Homo sapiens. When did they emerge in our timeline? Well, that gets a little dicey, but if we put it at the most recent idea, that puts us about 200,000 years ago. That's 2 days in our condensed format. The first cities would be a little less than 3 hours ago at this point. We landed on the moon in this condensed format, again, barely a minute ago. And the internet, the World Wide Web, as we have become to use it as a publicly accessible item, half a minute ago. Now, take into perspective that a good long human lifespan at this point, a good one, would be a minute and a half, give or take. The timelines that we're talking about, the events that I'm laying out here, are barely the blink of an eye when we finally realize how long some of these events have taken to happen and how short some of the other ones are. So when there are groups out there that tell us that there's, how would you know? Were you there? Time couldn't account for all these things having happened. We don't even conceive of how long 144 years is. We don't. We have no concept of it ourselves. The oldest living humans that we've known of have been into the 120, give or takes. And 90 would be a really nice age at this point. And that barely scratches the surface of how far we've come and what we've done and what we've changed. Never mind what's changed all on its own just by being there. So the next time somebody goes ahead and tells you things just never change, just look at them and blink. Because you're looking at absolutely insane levels of hubris and simply not even considering the possibility. Just think. Just think. With that out of the way, I think now's about as good a time as any for the horrible scopes, because, like I said, this week I've done a lot of homework, and I've done a lot of math, and I've done a lot of homework. So let's go ahead and do this then, shall we? So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. These are for you. Those of you that don't know, I don't care. You can roll a d12. You can ask your device to roll a 12 for you. Random.org can do that for you. It's really good. Oh, yes, and like I said, homework. This week, I've been requested a theme this week. So we now take you back to the distant yesteryear of 1981 as we bring you, on request, the Care Bears. I don't want to hear it. If you had a problem with it, you should have requested something else. That's just the way that it's going to end up. Get you rolling. Aries, your Care Bear has a fun color to her fur and a shooting star across her belly. Wish Bear can make wishes come true. And with that level of power, she's ready to help everyone experience her wishes made manifest. This week, look at the world through her eyes and enjoy making wishes come true.
Taurus, your Care Bear is a little tricky to spot. With green fur and a four-leaf clover on his belly, Good Luck Bear could be hiding in a patch of clover, and you might never know. And don't be mistaken, his voice was Irish originally. And there's no reason to think that part needs to be changed, ever. This week, learn to appreciate how amazing the Irish accent is, even if the only way he can is by watching Jacksepticeye trying to understand other Irish accents.
Yeah, Stephanie knows full well over there at the British Isles. You can go one county over, two counties over, and now everybody needs a translator in between them to figure out what the hell everybody else is saying. It's amusing as all hell. And the funny part of it is, I think part of that is because they spend half the day talking to the sheep, or yelling at the sheep, or having the sheep talk to the... I don't know. I don't want to know. I don't care. It's not Welsh, so, they got whatever. Gemini, golden yellow with a cupcake and candle on his belly. Birthday Bear is your match. Doesn't have to be your birthday for him to entertain you. Just summon up his spirit and whip up a cake just because you can. P.S. It'll be delicious.
Cancer Moonchild. It's time to meet one of the most likable, friendly, and approachable Care Bears. She's orange, has two flowers on her belly, and answers to the name Friend Bear. You want to feel supported, heard, and appreciated? Then look no further, because she'll make you feel like you have a friend by your side, always.
I was telling Dalan last night as we're reading through these originally. The standard format in Google Docs, which is what I use, is Arial. And I said to him, that last line, that last always, if I change that to be like some kind of red blood drippy font for the word always, the entire context of that one really changes a lot, doesn't it? Leo, don't let his blue fur and belly mark of a moon with a hanging star deceive you. Bedtime Bear has a unique job. That of being a calming presence to help children fall asleep gently. This week, find your Mr. Snuggles and take a nap with him again. He misses you.
Virgo. You know the old statement by Longfellow? Into every life some rain must fall. And in your case, the blue-furred, rainbow-wearing grumpy bear is here to help you out. Yes, he'll make the most simple task nigh impossible, but he'll refuse any direct help. This week, remember that feelings, all feelings, are needed.
Libra, in the corner is the chartreuse, green-furred, do your best bear. With his mood flying as high as his belly kite image, he'll be there to make sure his friends stay moving. For him, there is no greater joy than helping someone achieve what they once thought was impossible to achieve. So this week, do something you thought was impossible.
Scorpio, you want a Care Bear with more energy and optimism than anyone you know? Then welcome Cheer Bear to the group. Her pink fur and rainbow symbol reminds you that she's the life of the party and has biggest hearts around. This week, appreciate the rain.
Because, without the rain, you can't have a rain.
It's true.
True. Sagittarius, there's a My Little Pony song about that, by the way. You should look that up. Really, there really is. Sagittarius, we know you want to be a sports phenom, so you're paired up with a yellow-furred, stars with hearts marvel, superstar bear. He dazzles everyone with his positive attitude on and off the court. Whether he wins or loses, Superstar Bear never gives up, always trying his very best. This week, remember, at the center of every star, there is a big heart.
Capricorn, your bear is the mastermind behind the whole operation with the ultimate can-do attitude. With his brown-orange fur and large heart on his belly, Tender Heart Bear inspires so many around him to do the right things. And because of his niceness, he can be overwhelmed and need to call in the cavalry to help sort things out. This week, know who your backup troops are.
It's always good to know who's in your back line. That's not something weird to say, it's just true. Aquarius, it's possible that your Care Bear transitioned from female in the 80s to male 2004. With yellow fur and smiling fun symbol, Funshine Bear is your new companion. Day or night, rain or shine, they're always up for a good time. If there's a celebration, Funshine's there with bells on. And if there isn't one, expect them to make one. So this week, buy some tiny bells to wear.
Pisces, it's fair to say that your pink furred bear with the double heart symbol will always see the best in everyone around her, including you. Love a lot bear can make a heart skip a beat and bring people together every time. So this week, enjoy your significant other's time around you, even if they're just a cat.
Because, as we know full well, cats are notorious for being assholes. They just are.
Yeah, the one that I've got yelling in the background, you're just going to have to excuse her. She's dying.
I don't know if you mean that figuratively or literally now, and
She's got like 2 to 3 weeks left.
you were literal, okay.
Yeah, literal.
I'm sorry to hear that, and my hopes for you guys, I didn't know. You didn't tell me ahead of time. Thanks for springing that on me now. Heads up would have been really nice,
Sorry.
Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, it's because you were the one that asked for them, and I got nothing otherwise. If you want to suggest one for next week, all you need to do is just get in touch with me, because I work off of vanity. Ask these guys, they'll tell you. I will have these posted at the end of the week as usual. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. I know. But, it's what I've been traditionally using, and I don't pay anybody for using them. So, I know. I'm probably the commodity then. It's just kind of the way that things work. But, I'll have these ready for you at the end of the week, and you can enjoy them for yourselves and others. And maybe one of these days I'll ask people to donate, as to be nice about it. I don't know. It's probably not going to happen, but kind of a thing. So, get you rolling. Episode 254 on the docket, you runner. Mad about MAID. And like I said, this came out of our Discord chat just the other day, and yeah, it's kind of Dalan's fault because he talked about it and brought it to our attention. And there was it made for an interesting question because it kind of half follows up on some stuff that we had talked about once upon a time ago about prison inmates, and this very much was something that has got a lot of implication to it, and it kind of felt interesting to kind of go around with, especially considering that I didn't particularly feel like going down and slamming the Christian right theocratic rule dominionists right now. It's don't feel like it because there's nothing entertaining to be said about it right at the moment. But I know full well, we wait a little bit, that'll change. It's just not this week. So let's kind of explain really quickly what MAID is and kind of take it from there. MAID is medical assistance in death, or at least that's the terminology that was used in the chat for it all. And I, as a layperson, am not really well versed in it, and I want to get that out of the way right now. So, a lot of what I would think that I know about it, I'm probably really ignorant about a lot of it anyway. And even though I like to go to Brigid for, all things medical because she knows a little bit more than I do, like how to properly check somebody's pulse without knocking them out. By the way, yes, you can do that.
Yes.
Just please don't. Just please don't.
I can check pulses in a few places. I won't knock you out.
I appreciate that. No, she does not have pointed ears, nor does she have angled eyebrows. She's not Vulcan. She is just a sadist. Medical personality. I'm sorry. Gotta watch the terminal. I forget which thesaurus I'm working off of sometimes.
I don't know a lot about medical assisted death though. So, I mean, other than hospice.
That's fair. And on a side piece then, so that we get that out there, I think that I can properly speak for the entirety of the show. I know it's only two of us at the moment, but any of you that work hospice, have worked hospice, you have our respect every day of the week, twice on Sundays, because as the expression goes, God love you, I couldn't do the job. No way in hell. So you guys out there, just know you're appreciated. Of course, I also say that for pretty much everybody that is... I think the best way of putting it is anybody in the medical community who's not a dick pretty well qualifies under that. And I say that because we all know there's always at least that one surgeon who's, God's gift to medicine because they think that they can be.
That's a lot of surgeons.
Yeah, sadly.
Especially cardiac surgeons.
Yeah, and I say that because I think that I ended up meeting one of the best out there. And I know, we're not exactly getting directly into the meat and potatoes of the show tonight. Just bear with me a minute. When my wife had to go in for a dissection, is that the right word for it? On her liver, because of the cancer?
Resection.
Resection? Resection. No, it was removing part.
Hmm.
Okay.
It's resecting it.
Resecting.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I was at the hospital and I forget what I was doing. I was waiting. Might have had some food, so I was kind of waiting, and the surgeon was walking by. He recognized me, and he came over and he introduced himself, and he said, that he's going to be doing this thing, and he asked me if I had any questions for him before he got went to go get himself ready. And I thought about it for a minute, and I looked him dead in the eye, and I asked, and I've told this story before, and I asked him, "Are you having a good day?" And it took him a second, and then he blinked, and he smiled, and he nodded, and he said, "Yeah, I'm having a good day." I think that may have been one of the few times where I actually surprised someone who knows crap tons more about a subject, any one subject, than I will ever know of everything that I learn in my lifetime. And I think it was a really cool opportunity for somebody who's always, delving into areas that we mere mortals normally wouldn't. And he's recognized for being a human being first. So I met one of the good ones, and he was very good people. So medical assisted suicide is the terminology that's typically utilized on our side of the border. I don't know if that's what's commonly termed around in different areas, but that's the common parlance around here. There are other euphemisms that have floated around over the last years, like 20 or so, specifically for a one particular doctor. You remember who I'm talking about?
Hey, Dr. Kevorkian?
Dr. Kevorkian. He made a name for himself because he believed in medical assisted suicide as a way of making the final transition in an as humane a way as possible. And that did not sit well with a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, including and especially the religious ones. And why would the religious ones be all up his shit about it? Because suicide,
Because only God's supposed to decide when you go or something.
yeah. And that was something that started in the Middle Ages, as I recall. I know full well, I know, before you stop typing, Stephanie, I know you're going to go ahead and you're going to let me know when it happened, who was responsible for it, which translation, which group, which country. I know. It's right up your wheelhouse. And I'm not saying don't do it. It's just I know what you're doing. I know you're tappity tapping already. So have a good smile. But that's what they did, because if the religious people decided, well, the quickest way to get to God is to get myself to God, that's suddenly no longer a viable populace because you can't control the dead, necromancy notwithstanding. So, make it a sin so that you don't kill yourself intentionally. So, and that's held us along for a very, very, very long time. Now, me, I was rather young. I didn't completely understand it all. But for me, my overall opinion, kid that I was at the time, was basically, if people are in a really bad medical way and they don't see any reason or use to put up with what it is that they're going through, I mean, ultimately it's their life. And if they choose that it's the time, it's their time, and who's to stop them? I don't know. I don't know that we've necessarily talked about it ourselves, Brigid. Um, did you have did you have any knowledge at the time of what was going on for him, or any kind of opinion, maybe even after?
I mean, I knew about him, knew what he was up to. I didn't see anything wrong with it. My mother, on the other hand, thought it was just a horrible, horrible thing. So we differed on that. But she's one of those that would do anything to keep anybody alive at any and all cost for as long as possible, even if they're suffering.
Yeah, at any and all cost is right. And I say that because a couple 10, 12 years ago, I forget how the hell long it was, wasn't Governor Jeb Bush getting himself directly in the line of the death of a woman and their child because she was in a vegetative state and pregnant and left? um let's see how well I remember it was. Pregnant woman ended up in a coma because of whatever the trauma was. I forget exactly what kind of injury. Was pregnant, was an EMT, as I recall, and left a living will that said, if this happens to me, just let me expire. It's just the way that it's going to be, and there's nothing to be had. And I forget who it was that got involved with it. I think it was part of the family, not the husband, most assuredly not the husband, who appealed to the governor, who got directly involved to prevent her from being allowed to naturally expire. And it was just a complete shit show. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Terry Schiavo, I believe you are correct. I can't go tappity tappity right now to look it up, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was. And that particular story blew my mind, that the governor of a state could just personally intervene in the life and death of a specific individual like that. So again, I come back over to you because this is a because it's just you and me. We've talked about we've talked about this story a couple of times over, and similar ones. So here's your chance. Go ahead and let loose on ex-governor Jeb Bush, the tool.
Well, I mean, that one was bad enough. The one that really freaked me out was the one in Texas with and you may be conflating the two, but the one who was like 12 weeks pregnant and ended up having a stroke and she was brain dead. And they kept her on life support for like months against the husband's wishes because the state intervened, and it was a non-viable pregnancy.
I don't remember which one that might have been. It is entirely possible that I'm
They
mixing and
eventually
matching.
took her off at like 24 weeks and it was a dead baby, but she was like rotting from the inside too. I mean, she was dead.
God damn it.
It was really disgusting. And the husband didn't want her on life support. She had a living will and didn't want to be on life support. But because she was pregnant.
Now the reason why I wanted to kind of go down these smaller trails before we get to the true piece of it all is to kind of lay the groundwork that is kind of necessary, because the topic was about prison inmates who were incarcerated, went through the system, and they're dealing with situations where their sentences are life without parole. Now, here in the United States, the term life sentence generally means a minimum of 20 years with the possibility of parole. So it's not truly a life sentence. You're not necessarily going to be there forever. It's just the term that's been used. I've never liked the idea of that because to me, life sentence is, well, you're there until you die. That's what the term means to me, but I'm no legal expert, so whatever. But the idea was, if you're dealing with someone who has been incarcerated and their punishment is you will exist in this facility for the remainder of your natural born life. What if an inmate says, I would much rather just have you go ahead and execute me now. Allow me to die on my own terms now, instead of going through 20, 30, 40 years of living in a prison. The reason why this is part of that whole ground laying before is because incarcerated people are effectively wards of the state. They are housed, fed, have their medical needs met. One should expect, at least on that one. And they are the responsibility of the state. Now, admittedly, here in the US, and it's also been said before, incarceration in the United States is a punishment system more than it is a rehabilitation system.
Yep.
And that is that whole piece, that nugget, that specific nugget, set it aside for right now because we're not going to talk on that piece. We will grant you 100% every day that is how it is, because that is how it is. And it's a sucky system. But we're not going to talk over that piece just now. The idea that somebody could say, don't keep me here for 40 years, just kill me now and just be done with it. That they could request that and potentially be granted it. The implications of who can request it, how, and what the responsibilities of the state as the conservator of those lives has got a lot of fear in me and others, because holy shit, what kind of checks and balances have to go into place to make sure that paperwork doesn't get forged or fudged or done incorrectly and oops, we killed the wrong guy or killed somebody that never asked that, or somebody that's incarcerated for the rest of the remainder of their life, but they are otherwise mentally unfit for whatever reason to make the call about making that request. And I say that because we know for well there have been situations, bad situations, where people who were less than mentally competent ended up at the wrong end of the law here in the States. And again, we're not going to touch on that one. We're going to accept that nugget as true because we know it's happened. Just, again, set that one aside and we'll just accept that one as true. So now that I've gone through all of that from the ground laying to where this is going to take us, Brigid, I don't even have any idea where to even begin on the ethics on something like this. And I'm kind of wondering if you've got any concept whatsoever of where to even begin yourself for trying to figure out where the hell to even begin.
Well, I don't think that would ever be a thing. Um, like you said, it's for punishment, not rehabilitation. So I don't see where the state would give people an easy out like that. And yeah, and any punishment can't be cruel and unusual. And if you think about it, they even have a hard time executing people by lethal injection nowadays because they can't get access to the drugs. And so the ones that they can get access to don't work so well. The only time that I could see them doing that would be like if you had an inmate that was terminally ill and needed hospice anyway, then I could see them doing that.
There is that. There is that. And let's also remember something. The human body is ultimately a rather fragile machine. There are there are dozens of ways that people can off themselves if they really wanted to, or
Yeah.
even without meaning to. I mean, there's a reason why they put those labels on cleaning supplies that say, "Don't mix this with this," because World War One. I know it's kind of a weird kind of thing, but you mix the wrong chemicals together, you will destroy the inner linings of your lungs, and you will literally suffocate yourself and drown yourself, and then you unalive yourself, and that's a really really bad afternoon for most people. So keep that in mind.
Well, I mean, if somebody really wanted to die, they could just quit drinking.
I you know
Dehydration doesn't take very many days,
no no you got a point. What is it, like within 7 days or something like that?
something like that.
Man, I keep forgetting. Every time I think about it often, the few times when I've thought about just how fragile the human body really is, it astounds me that we survive some of the things that we do. Just damn. So yeah, there are ways. There are ways. So let's just start off with the idea that there are people who would potentially choose that out, and it makes sense. Um, sorry, I was trying to read over. Stephanie had put something over here, and yes, I am trying to read all of what you guys are writing as I'm talking. I'm still trying to learn how to do that. That is a skill that is very weird. Reading something directly out loud as I'm watching it going, I can do that all day, every day, man. Reading something and saying something different and trying to, parse the two of them at the same time, that's a lot harder. It really is. But Stephanie Pitten had written Pitten. Going to be one of those things. Um, Here it is. Ian Brady was in Broadmoor until he died, and he wanted to die years before he finally went. Given his crimes, and I'm going to admit, I know nothing about the person or the locations or the situation involved. Where are we over here? Given his crimes, I felt that was appropriate. Decades locked up is far worse than a quick execution.
Yep.
The problem, if you will, the ethical dilemma is it's far worse than a quick execution, okay. But is that better?
Well,
That's
if you're looking from a punishment angle, then yeah, if punishment is a goal.
but the question is someone whose crimes that they've been convicted of. Not saying that they have done, but they've been convicted of because unless trials are at 100%, there's no way of knowing if there is even just that slim chance that maybe they didn't do anything. But be that as it may, should someone be allowed, even with a life sentence, without parole? Should someone be allowed the time to rehabilitate themselves? Or conversely, be simply given the choice to just end it now because it's going to happen anyway. They're going to die there. Which one is better and who is it better for?
I mean, it's cheaper to let them die, but that's not how it works.
It's true. That's true. And you remember, I had brought up a long time ago the idea that if someone dies in prison and they still have time on their prison sentence, we don't just cremate them and contain the remains at the prison until their time is expired and then hand over the body, or what there is of it at that point, I suppose. We, you know, the body is turned over to whomever claims it, yes. So, who is it better for? And would allowing someone to live their life sentence until whatever? Is it better? Is it worse? Yeah, it's more economical, but who should be allowed to determine whether they live or they die? And why? You know, like I said, I I'm in the situation where I've kind of tried to wrap my brain around it a couple of times over and the conversation only happened like a couple of days ago, 2 days ago maybe. So it's something that I haven't actively thought about in a very long time. It's one of those things that just passed by a couple of times. We've seen the topic fly by, and I've really did any kind of a deep dive on it, and I kind of tried to the last couple of days, but the the implications of getting it wrong, if you will. I don't know, man.
I mean, they already get it wrong. There have been people that have been executed that were not guilty.
There was a 14-year-old kid, if I remember right, in the 50s. He was 14-year-old little black kid. Just some kind of weird trumped up charges and railroaded through the court and put in a new electric chair, crying and sobbing, not knowing what in the hell is going on, and executed. And the thing of it is, as the expression goes, dead is dead. There's no appeal. There's no second chances. There's no nothing. It's just full stop. And it's one of those few times where I don't know how to think about it. Because the point of it is, if the prisoner asks and requests it, and that, like I said, that scares me because Who's to say that somebody wouldn't just forge documents just to off somebody? Because sadly, we also know that in the quote-unquote law enforcement area here in the U.S., there is a non-zero number of people who are of questionable moral standing. It's the nicest way I can think to put it. And it's a piece that I don't even know. So let me bring it over to an area where we can actually discuss properly. Because one of the things that you mentioned, Brigid, is one of the things that was also mentioned in the discussion on the channel, which was the economics of it all. That yes, it is far and away less expensive to simply allow someone to expire, if you will, because you no longer need to clothe, feed, house, treat someone for who only knows how many possible decades, as opposed to just a one-time deal. You mix a couple of cleaning solutions together and breathe deep out of this bag. I'm absolutely not suggesting that that's how it should ever work, but folks get the point. Don't do that. But yeah, the economics of it all, I mean, that's a valid concern on both the pro and con of the whole damn thing, no?
Well, I can't see that happening unless it was a capital case.
Agreed. And I'm willing to go with that, but again, we know full well that there have been cases where there have been people, whether correct or incorrectly, convicted of successive terms that start to extend into the several hundred years if they're served consecutively. So, with that possibility, like I said, the money part of it is something that's really chilling to me. Kind of wondering, just run through with this with me and humor an old man with a distasteful idea. And you can mock me because I'm now out of orange juice, damn it. Whatever. You know what? It's halfway through the show. I finished my orange juice halfway through the show. I'd say I've done well. We're good. Stephanie's also pointed out, by the way, because Stephanie and Seeker are chatting amongst each other, and good on you guys. Thank you. Trump is facing 20 years on the documents cases. There is the Georgia RICO case and the January 6th case, and the possibility of 20 years for somebody that's in dubious health and rather advanced age, that's kind of a question mark to me.
Yeah. And he's in some deep shit.
Yeah. So it's hard for us to wrap our heads around the possibility of doing this. And the idea of the economics of it all is distasteful, to put it mildly. So how about take us into a section that kind of dovetails into the whole former guy thing. somebody who is incredibly charismatic. I know, just humor an old man for a second. Who has his cult of personality going on out there, is thrown into jail. Advanced years, the likelihood is, they would go past their expected expiration date in prison because he's, well, let's face it. At this point, he goes through 20 years in the clink. Yeah, expected expiry on Americans of that age are pretty bad. He requests to be medically induced to die. He requests and uses it and twists the information with his own press releases through whatever his lawyer's channels are to stoke up more crap, to become the ultimate martyr. Once, we've seen it happen already. And it didn't involve any prison time. All it had to be was the threat of. And suddenly there are people calling in bomb threats or walking in protest with full open carry long guns and khaki pants and fairly matching blue suits, looking like they're the added staff over at a Best Buy that's half out of business. So somebody like that goes ahead, does it, allows themselves to be killed, to become the ultimate martyr figure, knowing with a smirk on their face that they've pulled the absolute best possible spit in the face of somebody, of everybody. Knowing that all their adoring people are going to pick up where he left off. Holy shit. What the hell then? You tell me, Brigid. You tell me he wouldn't consider that possibility of even pulling that shit.
Well, I don't know how he could. I mean, he's not going to be a martyr. He cares too much about himself to do anything to himself.
But he would yell and scream, rant and rave till the cows come home. We've seen it happen many a time already.
Well, he's already ranting and raving.
Exactly. Stephanie's pointed out something. And an interesting part about this, because I'll show you. Part of Trump's sentence has to be removing his contact with the internet. Now,
Yep, I agree.
just to cover all bases, the man is innocent until proven guilty legally. We understand that. We also know that he is guilty as sin. But we're not legal, we're opinions. And our opinion is that he is a son of a bitch that needs to just go away. That being said, needs to be removing his contact with the internet. We know full well prisoners have gotten word out to the public through their lawyers. Happens all the time. It's happened all the time. Memory serves, didn't Charles Manson have a couple of things put out through his lawyer over the years? Pretty sure
I
that he
have no
did.
idea.
Pretty sure. I've got a vague recollection of some. See, this is what happens. I need to shut up sometimes when I've got these things that are just like, hey, you know what happened? When did that happen, brain? I'll get back to you. There, I had coffee. I should have better brain activity. Is what it is. But you're right. The idea that former guy would willingly become a martyr for anybody, yeah, it's pretty far fetched. Be really hard to believe. But the possibility of him doing because there was no other possible choice, kind of wonder how spiteful he would, if he would.
Mm, I don't think he would off himself. I really don't.
But how far it would lead out. For him, it's all about the engagement, the how many eyeballs can I get, and how many people can I get stoked.
But he's also all about himself, and he's not going to do anything to hurt himself. And he doesn't like the idea of blood.
Hmm, I agree. And Stephanie also saying Trump is a coward. I'm with Brigid on this one.
Yep, he's a coward.
And I want you guys to know something. I agree 100%. Agree. I'm not saying that you're wrong by any stretch. I agree. I don't think that he would do it either. The problem is, what happens when there is someone that would? Someone that has created their own cult of personality, stoked up so many people to become rabid, fighting people, a force that's, Meal Team 69 or whatever the hell name they gave him, Gravy Train. I don't, but you get the idea. What happens
Oh
when
yeah,
there
he'll
is
get other
somebody?
people stirred up and shit. Yeah, he'd do it. He wants people to die for him.
Yeah, but again, somebody that is, that deranged again. Okay, flip it backwards. Mahatma Gandhi went on hunger strikes as a form of peaceful protest. He was slowly killing himself in order to get change. How much a step is it from someone offing themselves in order to create additional change? And before you say it's not possible to have happen, remember what happened with oh God, what the hell was the name of the group with the Hale-Bopp comet? That
Oh, the
they
Heaven's
all
Gate
the
people.
Heaven's Gate, and they all voluntarily killed themselves because they thought it was going to be. They were deluded into believing they were going to be reborn on a comet. Well, on a spaceship, you know, being masked by the comet. But they went ahead. They killed themselves for a cause that they believed in. Not the first time that's happened. It's not going to be the last time. Just to make a point, just to bring more people. So again, if it's somebody that is a terminal patient, again, just like with you guys, I agree. Possible. It may even be the most humane thing to do.
Yeah.
But the ones that would have an ulterior motive, those are the ones that scare me. So giving you that to work with, now that I've kind of twisted it out from underneath that mango hairpiece, now what do you think? Think somebody like David Koresh. What do you think?
Gianluca e Appelsini. Apples and oranges.
Ah, to it, and you've got a point. You got a point, but that's why I'm saying kind of. Actually, that was kind of cute. You fit in the orange thing in there. That was I missed that at first. That's good. That was good. That was good. That was good. You caught me on that one. That's good. Anyway, the point that I was trying to get to is that we see what the cult of personality is current with former guy, somebody who
Different
is.
personalities, though.
I'm sorry.
Different personalities, though.
Yes, but the charisma for a specific group. We know full well the former guy has got a charisma that absolutely baffles us. You know, the charisma for white overweight women to come to his rallies wearing T-shirts that say "Blacks for Trump." Caucasian women.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That's that's the kind of cult thing. But they done it. We've got photos of it. It's going, ladies. And we know full well that they are a violent group. Seen it proved many a time, over and over for the last 6-7 years. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But what happens if it is somebody like that? Somebody who has been brought in, who is deluded enough to believe that them going ahead and becoming the martyr for the group is the better thing to do. And it's a significant portion of the populace. I mean, what, 30% of the population still
something
are
like that.
enamored with this sumbitch?
Yeah, I'm sure that whenever the indictments go through, if he ends up, doing some jail time, I'm sure there's going to be some violence break out here and there. I would be surprised if it didn't. I don't think it's going to be like Civil War type thing, but yeah, I can see some lone wolves doing some stuff.
And I think it's safe for us to give it a call. Let's see if we can put together a typeface for these people. Let's start off with the easy one. 95% plus will be I'll start off male,
White,
Christian,
gun nuts,
less than college educated.
white supremacist type.
Okay, now see, we're having this nice back and forth lobbing thing, and here you go, you spike the ball right in front of my damn feet. I mean, really? Whatever. So yes, if you know some people who are in the United States, white, male, less than college educated, gun nut, Christian dominionists, you might want to, sleep with one eye open, I believe is the way that the song goes. Just a thing. Oh yeah, and to that end, Seeker's also reminding us, Michigan Capital, take it over twice. Way to go, Michigan. First in the country for that one, I think.
Yep.
There is something to be said for the Christian Dominionists, though, with the January 6th thing. I mean, the Capitol was ransacked like that was it took an entire nation to come down in 1812. So, congratulations, January 6th people. You're on par with Canada. Well done. See, the Canadians at least had the temerity to go home. And they didn't take pictures of themselves. Dumbasses. I'm sorry, I'm making a joke about it because so many of these people with their video cameras and their pictures and their selfies and their geolocation data are suddenly finding out that the long arm of the law is not just long physically, it's long with time. Sooner or later, we will find you. Actually, that kind of makes me wonder what's the statute of limitations on sacking the Capitol building? I wonder.
No idea.
I guess we'll find out eventually.
They're still arresting people.
Oh yeah, I'm, I'm, you know, it's like it's like the different countries of the world suddenly discovering, oh, there's another ex-Nazi who's living in uh, uh, Brazil, and it's 50 years after the war, and they bring him into the Hague for trial because 97-year-old ex-German SS officer deserves to be on trial. So I love the idea that years and years and years are gonna go by, and gonna keep getting them. That's fine by me. It's like Pokemons, man. Gotta collect them all eventually. It's fine by me. They got the Buffalo guy, so we'll get more. We'll get more. As far as this direct topic goes, though, I'm going to say it. What Brigid said about never being able to see it happen in this country, again, completely on board. I agree, and I'm not saying to think about the topic in different ways because I'm trying to be an ass about it. It's that there's scary parts about that, man. I mean, we started off early saying that the penal system here in the United States, the it's about punishment. It's about retribution. It's not about building somebody back up again to be a better version of who they were. That sucks. We've seen enough of other countries and what they do with their prisoners in order to the few prisoners that they've got by comparison, that they are rehabilitating them. They've got what look like small apartments, but it's what they look like for their room. They've got a bed, they've got a window, they've got a desk, they've got books to read. They've got an opportunity. But here in the US, you got 3 walls, maybe, if you're lucky, a window, maybe. You got bars, and you got a whole bunch of people who bad things are possible to have happen, man. So the idea that it could never happen here, I really believe that. I want to believe that. But the last 20 years have made me really question, could stuff happen here? because I don't know about the rest of you, but and Brigid, you kind of follow up on me on this one. The last 20 years, I've really questioned how much the "it can't happen here" stance that I've had on certain things have just kind of fallen by the wayside when they have.
Well, I mean, if you want to get dystopian with it, might start reducing sentences for people who donate body parts.
Oof.
That would be really messed up. Reduce your sentence by 10 years if you fork over a kidney. I mean, it could get worse.
Or a lung, bone marrow, donate blood. I'm trying to think in terms of body parts where you've got redundancy or it can be regenerated.
Piece of liver.
Piece of liver. Oh, good criminy. Where would that take you? I
That would
mean,
be really disgusting.
it would be. But at the same time, we also here in the United States do have prisoner work groups that do various labors for literal pennies on the dollar of what it should otherwise cost, because people are allowed to be enslaved if they've gone through the legal system. There is constitutional amendments that allow for that.
Yep.
So wonderful. Wait a minute. Seeker, I want your help on this one. Seeker's also saying that, well, in conjunction with a whole bunch of other pieces, I think Buffalo Dude is out now and grifting. Are you referring to the guy that came up from the Southern Tier and shot up the Tops store in Buffalo? Oh, I really hope not. I really hope not. I really hope not. And I'm waiting to see what's gonna pop up from him because, dude, I cannot tell you how messed up that would. And yes, I know I'm saying it because local story for me, relatively local for me. But god damn it. Oh, the shaman guy. I'm less worried about that guy, but that doesn't change the fact that I don't like it. Had me kind of really worried there a second.
Common guy has some issues.
A number of them got a lot of issues over there. So with just a little bit left over on this, where where could it end up? I mean, really, somebody could be terminal and could decide that they would rather just expire themselves instead of going through uh what's a good possibility, stage 4 colon cancer. Use that one because as I've understood, that one is especially debilitating, might be the best way of putting it. Somebody decides that they want to do that. Outside of a prison, it's entirely possible that it could be humane and ethical to allow that to happen. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
There's some people that have had other terminal diseases where they decided that they were going to, live it up for the last however many months they were expected to have, and have themselves a great old time going to, going to cruise world tour best they can with whatever money, and hope that they make it to the end. Otherwise, they'll have to be found by the porters and put on ice until they can get back into port. And before anybody says, "Ew, that's gross," yeah, kind of is, but it happens more often than you'd like to know. But again, that's on their choices. That's on their timeline. People who are older. What about somebody that is still way too young? Like I said, we had a death penalty back in the 50s. 14-year-old kid who just got railroaded. What if he was put into prison? Life without the possibility of parole. 14. What do you do? You see how weird that question starts to become at that point? Because I don't even know. Like I said before, I don't even know where to even begin with that one. You, hun, we've had kids. Can you even barely imagine what it would be like? Young teenage kid railroaded through an unjust process and life without the possibility of parole at 14 years old, and there's nothing to be done. And they've decided that they're not going to put up with it and they just want to go.
They can't,
But why not?
because that's not the way the legal system works.
Now, yes. But what if?
I don't think there's going to be a what if, because the whole point is punishment. And if they just allow people who are convicted to take the easy way out, then there goes the punishment. There's nothing humane about it. It's not meant to be humane, at least not in this country.
And isn't that the saddest thing that we could say about it? That even the possibility of one's own choice to live or die is taken away from them because the punishment is more important than their own choices on their life. There's a word for that. Chattel.
Yeah.
So, when all is said and done, where we end up on this one is that kind of situation isn't going to happen here. It can't happen here because it would completely break the system because being allowed to die is too damned humane for what we do here. I'm going to say it, and I don't usually say it, and I'm going to break the F word bomb right here. Dude, I can't tell you how many levels of messed the fuck up that is.
Well, they need somebody around to do slave labor, so I mean, it's a big business. That's why you have all these privatized prisons.
Which is another thing that should not exist as far as I'm concerned. But then again, not a legal
And not
expert.
that it does.
It does. Oh, it
And they have
does.
guaranteed occupancy rights too. And so there's incentive to keep those beds full. Yeah, source of cheap labor.
Welcome to the United States of America. The only reason it's not labeled a dystopia because of the new paint job that we put on every year.
It is quite dystopian here, though, in a lot of ways.
So, Dalan, if you get the opportunity of listening and kind of catch up on all this is your own damn fault. You've made me feel completely disgusted with my own country. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm pretty disgusted with it myself.
There are bits and pieces that, on the lighter side, even though it may not be coming out of my voice right at the moment, there are a number of pieces that we've felt, I've felt personally disgusted by, and part of the reason why I'm not nearly as cynical as I might otherwise be, is because that I know full well that there are parts of it that are transient. There are other parts that are baked in, and they're going to take a hell of a lot longer than my lifetime to fix, sadly. But the pathway has been there. There are bumps in the road, yeah, I get that, but I do still believe that ultimate good ends up winning long term. At least, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I've got faith that it will. I trust in the numbers. And the numbers say that that's the way that it will go eventually. I'm thinking of kind of wrapping a little bit early because just because I don't know if there's very much more that we can really milk out of any of this. Brigid,
True.
what do you have anything really to kind of finish off on? I mean, I'm not exactly really harping on the end product of it all, really, but I mean, I don't.
We'll find out in a year and a half how warped this place is.
Oh, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Instead of TFG, we need to start referring him as to TIG, the indicted guy. He could conceivably still win the nomination for the GOP. Even if he's incarcerated, it's possible.
TMIG, the
So we will,
multi-indicted guy.
yep, multi-indicted former guy. So we will, if he ends up getting the nomination after all of this shit, we'll find out exactly how bad off we are. And it could conceivably happen.
There's a piece of me that's wondering, is there supposed to be some... I almost dropped again. I'm not gonna. I was about to say, wasn't there supposed to be some kind of a thing about having some kind of I forget what kind of wording it would have been. Something of being of sound moral character or some such item. But I don't think that there is such a thing for quote unquote qualification for the federal office of President of the United States of America. However, there is the item about having broken an oath of office or insurrection that would preclude from holding federal offices.
If he is indicted and convicted on insurrection.
It's
But
true.
we still have to wait and see if that happens.
That's true, and that's going to be a little bit of a hard sell. But there is also the piece about, and this is the piece that sucks. The Electoral College was, once upon a time ago, was supposed to have been a group of electors that would be able to look at the popular vote and make sure that the popular vote was actually voting for someone of correct character.
Yep.
And that entirely screwed up system has just become an absolute shit show for a long time. It had lofty goals, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately it's been corrupted beyond all reason. So the checks and balances just don't check out anymore. Way to go. All right. I think I'm pretty well tapped for topic wise for point. You got nothing else to go at this point, huh?
Not really.
No, nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not often that we close earlier than 2 hours, but you know what?
We're allowed to.
I'm sorry?
We're allowed to.
Yeah, exactly right. And if we got nothing left, screw it, we got nothing left. Lord knows. Be nice to be able to do that change. So how about we just go ahead and do that and call it a night. So, guys, thank you for being with us. We really do appreciate you being with us. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and you got something worthwhile thinking about for the week ahead. And just thank you. So over in the live chat, kind of go back over here. Seeker, Stephanie, Felis, you're around there somewhere, I'm sure. Just, unless she's fallen asleep, which is entirely possible. Thank you guys for being with us and for keeping me busy trying to read. It's been a challenge tonight. It's been a challenge trying to keep up with you guys this time. I'm not saying that as a dig, not by any stretch of the imagination. It's kind of cool to try to be able to do that. Reading and listening and then talking and not losing my place. Yeah, that's a tightrope I'm having a little bit of fun with. So thank you guys. It's good to have you. Brigid, you know, you didn't use an F-bomb all night, and I'm actually kind of impressed. Not surprised, kind of impressed. So, who gets it?
Oh, I'm going to say, Jim Jordan, go fuck yourself.
I can't imagine why. What did he do this time, Mr. Jim Jordan, who doesn't know that people pulling down their pants in a gym locker room is probably not a really good way to handle business?
He's just determined that he's going to get Biden on some kind of corruption, and it just, there's no there.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Marjorie Three Toes or
Oh,
Miss
all
Princess
them.
Brubert?
The whole sedition caucus.
I'm on board. I'm on board. Yep, the whole bunch of you. You can go ahead and just go fuck yourselves all the way up. In your faces. Miss Bobert probably might be enjoying that one a little bit much, but you know what? I don't know. That's just opinion. I mean, I just look at the way her uvula looks and think that maybe it's been used as a speed bag a couple of times. I could be wrong. I don't know.
What with the dude that looks like he has ramen noodles for hair? That guy?
I'm not talking about nobody at this point. But if anybody ends up using that expression, remember, you heard it from me first. And for a change, I didn't steal it from anybody. Go me. Thank you all for having a great time with us. If you'd like to be in contact, please swing on over to the website, holycrapthevlogcast.com, and we've got all contact. We've got audio version of the show available with the podcast link over there. The phone number, which I have to keep using again because I keep getting notices that say, "Hey, how come you haven't used it in a long time?" Yeah, I should do that. Phone number is 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554, and we'll be looking forward to talking to you again next time. Please stay safe. And this time of the season, I always remind everybody, please do not drink and boat. It is coming into the summertime where people can go out there cruising. Please remember, if you want to get drunk, fall down on dry land drunk. Fall overboard drunk into the water. There's a really good possibility you will not come back out. So please just be careful. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. And of course, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well, and my lady, 18 years on, I am still in love with you. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.